Welcome to Jerry's Fish Room.
Alright guys, welcome back to Jerry's Fish Room. I am standing outside here, beautiful, sunny, hot Florida, and just wanted to give you guys a quick update concerning the rack system that I built. Give you a quick preview of what they look like. They're now both finished. You've probably seen one of them already in the one of the earlier videos, but wanted to just go ahead and give you a quick update. I'm also going to put in this video just a kind of a fast speed of me building the first one. Talk about at the end a little bit of some of the mistakes that I made. But anyway, and then also give you just a quick update on some of what's going on with the fish room. So, all right, let's go. Let's go take a look at it. All right, guys, so apologize for the mess. We're out here in the garage. This is the second of the rack systems that I built. Actually looking forward to getting this inside. Plan is next week. I've got some help coming over. We're going to move the 125, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then bring this rack system in and start putting a couple tanks on it. There's going to be some room for expansion as I don't have enough tanks to cover all of this. But this top section right here that you see, this gap right in here, right from here to here, this is where the 55 is going to sit. And so in the 55, I'll show you in a minute, is the one, the death 55 tank. The one that I lost some fish in and was talking to you about the caulking, that potentially that could have been the issue. So I have removed all that caulk and resealed it, and we'll go ahead and put that in there. Down here on the bottom, you'll notice that it's a little wider at the bottom. The plan for this is, and the reason I did this a little different than I did the first rack, is because I decided that I'm going to put 4 20-gallon highs on the bottom rack, or at least have enough room to put 4 20-gallon highs on there from end to end. So that way I can set up and have enough space for whenever I get the breeding stuff going on. And then on the very top, it is kind of tall, but there is some room where I can put some small nano tanks, maybe put some some food, or just a couple of fish items that I might need. That's kind of the plan up there. Keep it small, light, maybe a little 5-gallon or 6-gallon nano tanks, maybe 10-gallon quarantine tanks, that type of stuff up on the top. Something that is just again, create a little extra room for whatever necessity that I have. All right, so as we walk in or get ready to go in, I just wanted to stop here, kind of show you a little bit what's going on. Again, it looks like a typical garage. There's stuff everywhere, somewhat organized, but not nearly as much as I'd like. But I did take some time and I reorganized this entire shelving system here, where I now have a lot of my stuff, as you can see, put into some bins. And identified some miscellaneous parts and some pump or filter spare parts, and water treatment stuff, just keeping things somewhat organized. I've got a bad habit of using something, setting it down or throwing it on a shelf, and then not being able to find it later, or just gets a little crazy. These here that you saw, these are universal rocks that my good friend Brandon traded me. I'm going to be putting those in the new 180, along with, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see down there. There's another universal kind of rock centerpiece. So I'm looking forward to putting those into the 180 for the African cichlids. Kind of keeping it simple. I don't think I'll put much in plants in that tank, unless there's a need that arises that I have to give a little cover for one or something like that. But other than that, that's just kind of the game plan. Here's the 120, or excuse me, the 125 that I picked up a long time ago. I was going to reseal it. Again, the plans were to turn this garage into Fishroom didn't really happen that way because of the heat. It's just can't keep the temperatures cool enough. So going to for some of the help that a good friend of mine is going to give me in moving a lot of this stuff around as I get flooring redone and tanks getting shifted around. I'm going to go ahead and give him this 125 with the stand, and then also that 55-gallon stand there. The 55-gallon tank right there, that is the death trap, so to say, but it is resealed. We'll talk a little bit about lessons learned when it comes to resealing. One of the things I found out, I don't know if it's just Florida, trying to tape off to get a nice smooth seam, that caulk dries rather quickly, and with that caulk drying as fast as it did, it literally not enough time to caulk the whole tank, smooth it out, and then pull the tape. By the time I was getting to the pulling the tape part, the caulk was starting to stick to the tape and creating some issues. So didn't caulk up as nicely as I'd like it to, but that's why we got gravel. That's why we've got plants. They'll cover some of those flaws. Again, here's another. This is going to go into the 125 tank. Let me move this. Okay. As we look over here on top of the 125, you're going to see sort of a log here. This is a universal rock feature, again, courtesy of my buddy Brandon. I gave him some underwater gallery caves and some other stuff, and he gave me this and those rocks. And so this bad boy looks pretty cool. We're going to see what it looks like. I'm going to put it in the 125 when I move the South Americans in there. And then as we talk about the racks real quick, the racks didn't work out quite as I thought they would, in the sense that the first rack I made some dimensional faux pas. I didn't quite get all the height I wanted to be able to access the top of the tanks as neatly as I'd like to. So these it's a Tidal 110 on the left, Tidal 75 on the right. They're not going to work on that 55. Also, they're not going to work on the new rack that I just built, where I plan on putting that 55, because the reality of it is just I don't really feel comfortable keeping the rack that far off of the wall, since I'm stacking multiple tanks on the rack. I like it closer to the wall. That kind of lessens the ability for that stand to shake or move if somebody actually was to bump into it or something. And you really kind of have to keep it at least 4, 5, 6 inches off the wall in order to get the trays out of these. So I'm going to go old school on my filtration, and it's actually a little nicer. It's going to be all pretty much anything on these rack systems is going to be sponge filters. All right, so we are entering into the fish room. As you can see, 125 over there with the Africans. It's all is quiet. As you'll notice, forgive the blanket on the floor. We had a storm the other night, kept the puppies in here so they could feel comfortable. And all those pictures that I've got to redo. All these walls are going to have to get redone with pictures after I get everything set in place where it needs to go. Little desk over here working on. Just again, a little bit of a revamp in here. The blue tape on the ground is representing where this 125 is going to sit. And then here is, again, that first rack that I did. Let me step back here and see if I can't get a little better picture on all of the whole thing. So here's the rack, pretty much, that I built. It's about 5 foot tall, maybe a little bit less than 5 feet, right at 5 feet. A couple of mistakes that I made, again, in the measuring. So yes, it looks like I've got plenty of room down there for those tanks. However, the intent was those tanks were supposed to be down on the bottom. If I put those there, then it gives me about the problem that I have here. With my 55, there's only 3 to 4 inches of space to work with. Now, I can work with this. I've got sponge filters, as you can see, in this tank. Of course, I have it divided with the divider there. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. It looks pretty nice at night, when you turn the lights off and only the aquarium is going. Again, I would say just make sure that you keep enough distance between the top of your tank. So when you're figuring out these openings, you want to make sure you got at least a good 5 to 6 inches here. Unfortunately, I'm at about 3, so it makes it a little difficult to get in and out of the tanks. That's why eventually you'll see right now there's a hole up in here between these, or space between these tanks. So if I got to do anything, I can get down in here a little bit. But what I'm going to end up doing is these 2 tanks that you see up here, they're going to go on the bottom rack of that new stand, because these are the 2 of the 4 20-gallon talls that will reside there. And then I'll put some smaller tanks, or just some product maybe up there. I've got some 1x6 that I'll cut little strips of, that I can kind of keep it custom. I'll set it up there, and can either use it for shelving, move it around as I need it, or if I want to put a smaller nano tanks up there and I got to bridge the gap a little bit, I can do that as well. So but this is kind of where we sit with it. I guess biggest lessons learned from this is, bottom line, make sure of your measurements. Make sure you figured and planned everything out to give yourself enough clearance to access these tanks. Now, I know it makes it difficult when you're putting a 55-gallon tank on a rack like this, because it does take up quite a bit of space. Again, I'm actually very, very happy how this one turned out. It's awesome looking. I'm not a carpenter. We look at the stand itself, the weight. As you can tell, guys, the weight is not held by these screws or any of these screws that are in here, but the weight distributes right down that 2x4, goes on down into the next 2x4 and down into the ground. So all the weight for all these tanks are well covered as far as that's concerned. The tank is pretty sturdy. There is a little wobble, or just like anything else, you can move it around a little bit if you want, if you were intentional about it. But I have absolutely no worries it's going to hold up. Again, it absolutely looks amazing. As you can tell, my electric blue Ochart, they're growing. They're getting there. Hopefully another couple months I'll be able to part ways with them, sell them. I've got a couple of buyers lined up, so I'm looking forward to that. These are the 3 platinum blue angels that I got from Brandon, who got them from Jess with Mains, Tails, and Furs. And my electric blue Ochart, which are hiding out down in there. That's Mom and Pop of those other ones. And then got my 2 paired angels. However, not had much success. They've laid about 2 or 3 times, but the eggs have turned white on me. The first 2 times they ate them. This last time I was able to pull the eggs, but nothing seemed to be fertilized. So we'll see how it goes. It's new to me, so we'll give it a shot. And then over here, my Maduka White Lips is in time out. He was being pretty much a pest in my 125. I noticed my Borley and my Insignis, and then my Blue Dolphin had some pretty good dings on their scales. And as I sat back outside the room and peeked in and watched, he was just being an idiot. So we're going to put him in timeout for a while. Then when we get the other tank, the new tank set up, I'll probably put him in at that point with another 3 or 4 fish. And hopefully he will behave and I won't have to rehome. But All right, guys, so that's kind of it. Where we're at. Again, lessons learned for me on doing this. I absolutely enjoyed it, number one. But, again, make sure of those measurements. What they say, measure twice, cut once. And it wasn't a mistake in the measurement. I think it was just a mistake in thinking of how much space I really needed to access these tanks. Learned my lesson with the first one. So the second one is not going to be an issue. I'm excited. I am on track for the 180 gallon tank from Glass Cages. That's coming. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so stoked about it. I'll be shooting definitely videos of getting it and getting it in here. I've got a lot of work ahead of me still. Next weekend, I am going to be moving the 120 gallon South American tank out of the front room into the dining room because we're going to redo the floor and get it ready for that 180, which is scheduled to be here probably end of August, first week of September, based on my last conversation with Joe with Glass Cages. And so I'm totally looking forward to that. And then I've got to move the 180, the discus tank. That's got to get rehomed for a little while. I'm going to take that 55 that I showed you guys out there earlier, put it in the rack system, leave it open, get it cycled up so I can put my discus in there, and maybe some of the smaller community fish in there as well for a week or so, just long enough to be able to get the 180 out of there, get the flooring redone in the bedroom, and then I'll bring that 180 back. So got to get some help. But until next time, guys, do me a favor, check out the links in the video. If you want a t-shirt, again, no pressure. And the link is in there, Teespring count. I'd love to see a few of those t-shirts out there. If you do get one, take your pic, send it to me. I'll get you in a video. Also, if you're interested in getting some really, really good fish, my channel sponsor, Consolidated Fish Farms, there's a link in the description for that. You can use that link, put in Jerry's Fish Room. At the time of checkout, you'll save 10%, and you'll get some great fish. Just ask Chris G, who has bought twice from him. Thanks a lot for that, Chris G. I appreciate you checking out my friend Dan Connor over at Consolidated Fish Farms. So, guys, until next week, you know what's coming next. That's right. Keep loving the fish.